Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you want to build a website to an online store and everything else in between, Squarespace is a platform that allows its users to build an online presence for their business. Where do I begin? Lonzo Ball is easily one of the most polarizing and conflicting players I've ever witnessed in my entire life. There's moments of greatness that really captures the essence of why so many people go crazy for Lonzo and his play, and then there's moments where you really and truly question if Lonzo should even be on the floor for more than 20 minutes on a game-to-game basis. And that's the duality of Lonzo. These two polar opposites are so eye-opening that it really and truly begs the question of how good Lonzo can potentially be. Now, if we were to start off positive, Lonzo is a surprisingly good defender, has the ability to fight over screens rather well, uses his hip properly, and because of his height and his size and matching up with smaller point guards, has the ability to swat the ball away whenever point guards are trying to beat him to the basket. Also, Lonzo is a really good rebounder for his position. However, when you really start to recognize his height and size, you start to realize that he probably should be rebounding at this rate. But there are moments where Lonzo is able to tip the ball away from a significantly bigger defender and even grab the rebound himself, saving a possession. Something that majority of guards, regardless of their height, wouldn't even dare to do. And then you have Lonzo's passing abilities. I would argue right now that Lonzo is a top 10 passer in the NBA and maybe even higher on that list, and he's only a sophomore in this league. His ability to read the floor takes certain players years to grasp, and others may not ever be able to obtain his vision throughout their entire career. And because he's such a gifted passer, there's a feel for the game that almost comes naturally to him. But then on the other hand, there are the other moments. And I'm not even going to nitpick Lonzo where I'm showing you plays where defensively he falls asleep, or show you plays where he's unable to create his own shot in the mid-range area, because those are things that I really and truly don't expect Lonzo to possess this early on in his career. However, there are things where Lonzo fails at that I would argue are just fundamental aspects to the game of basketball, many of which is just his ability to put the ball in the basket. For starters, Lonzo is an egregious finisher at the rim. A huge reason for this is because Lonzo rarely attempts a left-handed layup. Like, seriously, if you ever watch Lonzo on the left side of the basket, there are times where he still finishes with his right hand. Now, sometimes it works out for his favor as he's able to awkwardly catch the defender off balance, but then there's other times where he just has layups and he just can't finish it because he isn't strong enough on his left-hand side. Another thing that's painful to watch about Lonzo is his inability to be dynamic in a pick and roll situation. When Lonzo comes off the screen, it's extremely obvious that Lonzo is just trying to pass the ball as soon as possible. And because of his inability to create his own shot or even attempt it from time to time, the defense normally just sags off of him and plays the passing lane, especially when they're a good defensive team. And because of this, there are multiple times where Lonzo is forced to just throw up a shot in hopes that it goes in, and if it doesn't, he becomes a little too aggressive on his attempt to grab the rebound. But easily, the most frustrating part to Lonzo Ball's game is his inability to knock down three-pointers. And no, people, I'm not referring to him creating his own shot from behind the arc or even taking contested three-pointers. I'm referring to Lonzo being unable to make open shots, and more specifically, open three-pointers. For those who are unaware, nearly 62% of the shots that Lonzo attempts are either open or wide open. For those out there who need a better depiction, according to NBA.com, an open shot is when the closest defender is 4 to 6 feet removed from the play, and a wide open shot is when the closest defender is 6 feet or further removed from the play. So we're basically talking about, at most, the closest defender is 4 feet removed from Lonzo when he's attempting a shot. And again, that is nearly 62% of Lonzo Ball's shots. And also, for more specifics, virtually every three-pointer that Lonzo has attempted this year has either been an open or wide open three-point shot. And the fact that Lonzo shoots below 33% from behind the arc is just mind-blowing. Also, when it comes to corner three-pointers, shots that many people would argue are the easiest and most valuable shot in the game, Lonzo converts those at historic lows. And as we are talking about open shots, Lonzo is shooting below 42% from the free throw line. Imagine that, having a player that you would want the ball in his hand for majority of the possession because of his ability to pass the ball, can't even be a fully functional point guard because if he gets fouled, more than likely he's not even splitting his free throws. Because of this, there have been multiple fourth quarters where Luke Walton has been forced to put Lonzo on the bench in fear that the opposing team would just foul Lonzo and play the free throw game. And the thing that really bothers me is that there are a group of people who believe that many of us are just way too critical of Lonzo, when the reality is, again, I've lowered the bar for him multiple times. It's not like I'm asking Lonzo to post up smaller guards, in which he still struggles to do that as well. It's not like I'm asking Lonzo to be this mid-range assassin, which he's not good at that either. Or it's not like I'm asking Lonzo to create his own shot from behind the arc or attack the basket with a level of veracity that would immediately force the referees to call fouls and put you on the free throw line more consistently. No, majority of Lonzo's critics are just referring to basic and fundamental aspects of the game of basketball. Free throws, open three-pointers, and being able to finish at the basket with a left-handed layup, even when you're getting a fairly open drive to the basket. And this is the part of the video where I have to be bluntly honest. And when it comes to me being a Lakers fan, I am not blinded by whatever you all believe Lonzo will potentially bring to the table. Right now, Lonzo in his game is like toppings on a pizza or icing on a cake. Sure, icing can make the cake taste better, but if you didn't bake the cake correctly, it doesn't matter how good the icing is, the cake itself is still going to be bad. Behind the back passes, that's icing. Being able to make a wide open three-point shot, that's cake. Full court passes, that's icing. Being able to make free throws, that's cake. Yes, it's great that Lonzo has some nice icing, but I need to see more of the cake, because open three-pointers are going to come way more frequently than a behind the back pass. Now granted, he's just a sophomore, and so it could take some time for him to develop into a more competent and more well-rounded player, but that is something that the Lakers do not have. And that's the reason why I propose that the Lakers need to trade Lonzo immediately. And for people out there again who think that I'm being hard on Lonzo, or think that I am expecting too much out of a player who's only been in the NBA for 2 years, let me ask you this. Who's really asking more from Lonzo? Me or you? Because I understand what's going on with the Lakers situation. This is an organization that made it extremely clear that they are trying to compete for a championship sooner than later. If you didn't believe them acquiring LeBron James in the offseason should have been more than enough proof. But if you still need some more evidence of this, the Los Angeles Lakers have been in constant trade talks with the Pelicans for the entire season, and now that Anthony Davis has made his trade request public, it's something that will continue to be a constant theme that circulates around this organization, as they are consistently trying to add as much star talent around LeBron as possible. The reason for this is again because they want to compete next year. And so, as I thoroughly understand the situation the Los Angeles Lakers are in, I am not expecting Lonzo to be able to compete in an NBA Finals within an 18-month period. But for the people out there who are blinded by this idea that it best suits Lonzo to stay on the Lakers, that's what you are expecting. You're expecting Lonzo to be potentially the third best player on a championship caliber roster in his third year in the league. Mind you, we all know that he can't shoot an open jumper. Mind you, we all know he can't shoot free throws. We all know that he's not good at left-handed layups. So why even force him to be on a team that is expecting him and needs him to do those things within the next 18 months of basketball? Why not put him in a situation like the Sacramento Kings, the Orlando Magic, or even the Philadelphia 76ers? Organizations that are affording the luxury of time to their players to progress and mature into what they eventually hope to become. The reality is that the Los Angeles Lakers are not in that situation. Again, they're trying to compete and win championships. So turning Lonzo into Anthony Davis, or heck, even the third or fourth best player on what this team can potentially become, will be definitely worth it for both parties. The Lakers can compete, and Lonzo gets a fresh start with another organization that will give him the time to grow as an individual. But the idea that Lonzo isn't that far removed from the player that he needs to be to aid this team in winning a championship is ludicrous. Now, before I conclude this video, a huge shout out goes to today's sponsors, and that is Squarespace. Squarespace is a platform that allows its users to build an online presence. If you are a business and you're trying to sell product, or if you're just trying to interact with your audience, Squarespace is easily the greatest platform to utilize. They have multiple features that allows you to keep in touch with your audience and your buyers. They also have an analytic feature where you can look at your growth and get a better understanding of how much you have sold, how much money you're bringing in, so you can get a clear understanding on your finances. And when it comes to building the website itself, that is easily the most talked about feature of Squarespace. Everything from layouts, selected fonts, and colors are at your disposal. And you don't have to know a thing about coding to execute a great looking website. Now, if any of this sounds interesting to you, all you have to do is go to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And once you are ready to make your purchase, go to squarespace.com/legendofwinning for 10% off on your first purchase. And if that comes across a little bit too complicated for you all, I'm going to make it even easier for you. All you have to do is click the link in the description to get that 10% off on your first purchase. Again, squarespace.com/legendofwinning to get 10% off, or click the link in the description. And again, huge shout out goes to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Now, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button as well. Also, for people out there who are wondering how I personally feel about Anthony Davis and his trade requests and everything that pertains to that whole situation, Tucker from the Sporting Logically YouTube channel had me as a guest on his podcast, and that's basically all that we talked about on the podcast. So make sure you go check that out. I'll make sure I have a link in the description for that as well. And again, huge shout out goes to Squarespace for sponsoring the video. Let me know what you think about Lonzo and the Lakers situation in the comment section below, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.